Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Is Noaty right? Is XRP done? Okay guys, let's get into this. So, off of the back of the smart contracts news, there's been a lot of controversy around it, a lot of divided opinions, and some people are a bit concerned, which I say understandably so, but not in the way of to say like, oh, XRP's over, but I would say in the sense of like, what does this mean for the XRP ledger? Like, what is this going to mean, for example, for ODL? Because one of the famous things that David Schwartz has said as to why he didn't want smart contracts on the platform is because it could affect ODL, it could affect his payments performance. So that was one of the reasons why they were so against it. So the questions are coming in now, well, why do you want, smart contracts on the platform if that's going to affect payments? What's the deal? And so I do understand some of the questions here, but we've got this content creator called Noaty, and he did a video as soon as the news came out, and you can just see it here where he says very bad with a picture of David Schwartz there. And I just wanted to address this because I actually covered him very recently in a H-bar video, because he'd actually said he'd done a video saying H-bar sealed its fate, it's over, saying that H-bar was done as well. And the more I've started to watch some of his videos, because I wanted to see his take on this, the more I'm starting to see that with this guy, I just want to make this clear, I'm not saying that his content is bad, because he makes some valid criticism. So I'm not here to be like, oh, he's just pushing FUD or anything like that. I'm not saying that. He makes some valid points. But to me, this guy seems really, really emotional. He seems very emotionally reactive. And to me as an investor, it's not a good way to be, man. And I'm going to show you in a second, I'm not going to play his content because obviously copyright reasons, but I'm just going to give you some examples from these videos where you can see the pivot that he's had from one video to another. And it's literally changing his mind, going literally 180, from one video to the next. So, I just wanted to explain this, because when he says oh, XRP's over, he said this with H-bar, I'm just look, I'm not saying that this is necessarily great, some of the things that you're saying, but to say that it's over is just so extreme when people say these kind of things. And so I just thought I'd explain my point of view to this, and just give another point, another perspective, because there's people who obviously watch this stuff. And when you do content, right, the thing is with this, you get the people who are very vocal in how they, watch. And then you get people who won't be vocal, but they have their, they have their thought process. So they might agree with it, they might disagree with it, but they might not just put a comment out. But then you've got the people who are in the middle and they're not sure. And so those are the people where I'm okay, well, let me just give you another perspective to this, right? So you can, not just think that this is exactly 100% true. So, basically, I'm not going to get too much into what he was saying in terms of the critiques and stuff like that. I will just say that he did give some fair critique in regard to the smart contracts being, being put into the XRP ledger. He gave some fair criticism. So again, in terms of the things that he was making in terms of points, they weren't exactly all just, FUD or anything like that. He gave some valid criticism. So that's fair enough. But then he said, look, XRP's done. He's I'm not making no more content on XRP because, the banks are not picking it up. This is not going to happen. It's a dead coin, blah, 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 blah. And I was that's a bit of a leap, that's a very big leap to have there. First and foremost, Ripple have partners. We know that as a matter of fact. So when he says banks are not picking it up, we already know that's actually happening. So to kind of jump onto that, I'm a bit don't really know where you're going with that. Now, look, I will say this, and I've said this numerous times in my own content, when people talk about all banks have got XRP ready and there's going to be this flip the switch, no, I agree in that regard. And I don't think every bank is currently using XRP. And I'll say it myself, I'm not 100% that every bank in the world will use XRP. I don't think that's a guarantee. I don't think that's a proven fact in any way, shape or form. We will see how things pan out. But to say banks are just not picking it up, it makes it sound like it's a definite no. And to me, it's the same as saying it's a definite yes. There's no definite in this at all. So to say banks are just not picking it up is you don't really know that for sure. And we actually know that Ripple have partnerships. So we know that there are banks using XRP. So, I have to push back on that as well. For me, what I'm trying to say to you guys when I talk about XRP is look, like, yes, there are banks using it. There are banks who like the technology. We will see if it gets adopted wide enough to a point where all banks use it in the end. We will see, but that is not a guarantee. But it's also not a guarantee that no bank will use it and they'll all move away from it. I don't necessarily agree with that either. You know what I mean? So you have to look at this from a bit of a open-minded perspective, not a defeated attitude, but not an overly optimistic attitude. You have to be like, okay, you know, there's work to be done, but we'll see how things go. And so, yeah, like Noaty had said in here, like, you know, he was done in that video. He's not covering XRP anymore, right? Well, then let's look at the video that came right after that. Ripple XRP Millionaire Opportunity, right? Okay. And so in this video, he literally said, look, I'm not going to stop covering XRP because it gets views. And I was just like, okay, all right, fair enough. And so he then, you know, spoke about an opportunity for XRP, which again, the content, no issue with what the content was or anything like that. But straight away, when when you're that flagrant in saying why you're doing the content, it kind of, you know, it gets a bit like, I mean, look, the thing I will say, he's not doing hype content, so I at least respect the fact that he's not just thinking, oh, okay, I'm just going to push this narrative to get money. Fair enough. But at the same time, like, if you don't even really believe in it, is there any point? Like, because to me, it's like, I don't know, like, if you don't really believe in it, are you just finding anything to say something positive just to get a few views? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that what he said was bad, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I just have to question how his content is going to be with XRP going forward if he's saying that he's doing it for views, right? And so we then get not the Crypto Levi video, but then you have this Ripple XRP massive new market, and in the thumbnail it says trillions, and he's looking happy with the thumbs up. And in this video, he turns around and says, hey, if you think I'm bearish on XRP, you're completely wrong. I'm still bullish on XRP. And I'm like, what? like 2 videos ago, you were saying that XRP is done. And so he then starts to say, hey, no, when I'm saying it's done and I'm saying it's trash and stuff like that, like he's saying, I'm saying it in regards to people who think it's going to go to like $10,000 and stuff like that. I'll be honest with you, I don't agree with that at all. He was just frustrated when he seen the smart contract thing come out. I think he was just very emotionally reactive because he did this with HBAR as well. Like, he put out a video about HBAR. And when I covered that, the first thing I said is like, before I went into it and gave my critique, is like, I said, to me, this just feels like a frustrated holder. Some of the points he's made is valid, like, don't get me wrong. But overall, like, the way he's saying it's over and stuff like that, it just sounded like someone who was just a frustrated holder and just didn't have the patience to hold on. And to me, this is the way he seems to come across in his content. Like, he's gone from saying it's done and it's over and he's not going to cover it anymore to, okay, I'm going to cover it because it gets views, which, look, that's up to you how you want to look at that. Morally, I think it's a bit off to me, but at least he's not doing hype content. I'd find that a lot more, morally wrong if he was actually doing hype content to get money, because, I don't think you should be pushing that kind of stuff. But to me, he's gone from that to then saying he's going to do it to get views, to then saying, hey, like, I'm still bullish on XRP, which, I'll be honest with you, I think he's just said that again because it gets views. I think he's realized, hey, actually, me saying that, actually, this probably isn't the best thing to say because, XRP is a good money maker. So, yeah, let me do some good content for XRP and still push some positives. Now, as I say, I respect the fact that it's realistic, at least. I do respect that, because at the end of the day, he could be pushing hype content. So I really do respect that, because there are a lot of people who just push the hype content. But I still think if you're just saying that you're doing something for views, I don't know, man. Like for me, I cover mainly XRP and HBAR because I do believe in them a lot. Now, don't get me wrong, there's other cryptos that I've covered in the past. I've looked at VeChain, I've looked at Terra Luna, stuff like that. But these are all projects that I've looked at and thought, hey, these look promising. And who's to say that I won't do this in the future? Like, I'm looking at crypto right now that I'm thinking about covering as well. So I'm not here to say that you shouldn't be covering other videos or you shouldn't cover XRP. But if you're just doing it for the views, like, even for him, it must feel a bit empty, right? Because if he's pushing stuff that he doesn't even believe in anymore, like, is it even going to come across as sincere? Like, are you even going to really believe him? So, like, I just want to say this. Look, to say XRP is done after this, like, announcement of smart contracts is, I'll be honest with you. It's as delusional really as saying like XRP is going to like these mad numbers. It's just as crazy to say because it's just so extreme. You know, it's like when people say it's going to go to zero. It's like, no. Like, yes, maybe we could turn around and say it might not be as successful as we hoped, but to say that it's just done, like, you think it's done because they're going to implement smart contracts? Why? Like, that just makes no sense to me. So, look, I'm not trying to say that the smart contracts is, you know, is absolutely positive. It depends, like, and I've discussed this before in the video, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it depends how it affects the network. Like, if it's going to affect its performance, like its TPS and stuff like that, and bog the network down, then yeah, that could be negative because it's going to affect ODL, which is one of the strongest use cases for XRP. So that would have a negative impact, I think. But then it's like, would the smart contracts balance it out? Would the new level of having smart contracts bring way more developers and way more features that people would want to use the network more and it balances out? I don't know. I can't say, but we all know that XRP is most known for ODL. So if you start having problems with that, what happens if some of the partners want to go away now? Because they're saying, well, the XRP ledger isn't as efficient as it used to be. You know, it's having problems. It's getting bogged down and stuff. It's having congestion stuff. So like, there's those kind of things that you have to think about. But to say that it's over, like, to me, that's crazy. That's really strong. So, look, in terms of the content, not critiquing the content, because in terms of the points that he made, valid and fair criticisms, not trying to knock that at all. But in terms of like the way he's just saying it's done and like then just changing from video to video, like, it's like you've got to kind of decide how you feel on this and make a choice, because it comes across as very, you know, very undecided and all over the place. Like, you've got to have your either, like, if he just turns around now and says, look, I just don't believe in XRP anymore, fair enough, that's it. If that's how you feel, then stick to that from now on, that's fine. But going from like one video saying it's done to then saying it's positive and saying that you're doing it for views, like, it's a bit much. And I think with that, like, one, you're just confusing your audience, and I've seen that in the comments. A lot of them have, you know, started to push back against him because they're like, yo, like, what's going on? Because you're kind of all over the place, which, yeah, I get it, because he's literally jumping opinions from video to video. But look, he's kind of said himself, he's going to keep doing it because he gets views. So, I mean, okay, he's being transparent at least, I guess. But it's like, it's not the greatest reason to do content, is it really? You know, when you're just literally just doing it for money. And so then I question, does he really believe what he's even pulling out? Is he just going to try and get the odd little, you know, positive story about XRP and then just do it because, you know, it's going to get him views? Like, bit questionable when you're being like that. So yeah, I'll leave it there. But you know, all I'll say with this guy is I'm not trying to knock his actual content, but I just think as an actual like investor, to me, he seems very emotionally reactive, and to me, it's not a good sign of an investor, because if you just see something and then emotionally react straight away without, you know, like digesting the information and really taking in whether it's positive or negative and really like weighing out the pros and the cons and then coming to a conclusion. This is how people panic sell and stuff, right? This is how people panic sell and FOMO buy, which, you know, those are obviously not good traits when investing. So to me, like, if your opinion can change that quickly, it's like, yeah, to me, that those are not really good signs. So I'll leave it there. But yeah, I just thought I'd give a bit of a balanced perspective here, because, you know, it seems like these videos are doing like picking up quite a lot of steam. So just trying to give an alternative opinion here. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Take care.